Dr. Warren Evans, distinguished faculty and staff of Argosy University, and the graduating class of November 2011. Family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Magandang hapon in Filipino, and aloha. Like those of you receiving the certificates of graduation this afternoon, November 20th, 2011 is a day that will be forever etched in my life. For this is the first time I am ever delivering a commencement address at a university. Thank you, Dr. Evans, for giving me the opportunity to share this memory along with thousands here today. I must admit, however, that when Dr. Evans asked me whether I would be open to the idea of speaking and delivering a motivational speech for Argosy's graduates, I wondered what qualifications he saw in me to invite me to be this afternoon's speaker. Most of those I have seen being invited to do so were top-notch CEOs of successful companies like Apple. I'm sure most of you have seen the YouTube videos of Steve Jobs' commencement address at Stanford in 2005. Or A-list Hollywood celebrities like Bono at the University of Pennsylvania, or high-ranking politicians like President Obama at the Miami-Dade College, the University of Michigan, and other institutions of higher education. But I guess the challenge this afternoon is to show everyone that this 44-year-old foreign service officer from the Philippines, who is at the cusp of that elusive apex of my diplomatic service, could share snippets of myself, earnest in my enthusiasm to inspire the next generation. Just as a background, I graduated from a Jesuit university 24 years ago when I was 20 years old with a degree in computer science. Okay, don't do the math, I am 44 as I said. Immediately afterward, I entered the workforce through Anderson Consulting in Manila, where I was in systems programming, analysis, and design. But not very soon thereafter, I found myself extremely restless and groping for more ground to cover because I felt that my work or my career would not provide me the eagerness I needed for this life that lay in front of me. I felt stifled and was itching to do something else. So, 2 years later, after thousands of lines of COBOL, C++, and RPG programming, I quit my job, packed my bags, left Manila for my birthplace, Baguio, a resort city in the Philippines which was known to be the summer capital, clueless as to what I really wanted to do for the rest of my life. That at the behest of my parents, to the consternation of those who said that I was on the losing end. But while deciding what I really wanted to do, I stumbled upon a local jazz bar and decided to present myself as a frontman. On hindsight, thinking about it, I think those guys at the jazz bistro must have thought of how cocky and self-assured I was, because out of nowhere I wanted to become a singer. Before then, I never sang solo in public. I was mostly in a choir. And I was not your typical artist. I was not really very tall, as you can see. I begged God to give me 5'5". I fell short, only 5'4". I'm not very good looking, at least only my wife thinks so. I just melted in the crowd, not a standout performer, but somehow I persevered. Like there was this voice prompting me to just keep on trying. And to cut it short, management hired me as a soloist. And pretty soon I found myself with a good loyal audience that would listen to me singing every night for 3 to 4 hours for 6 nights a week for the next 5 years. Now, that evasive break all artists all over the world await seemed to be within reach when I was eventually signed by the Philippines' largest recording company. That was it. Close to my dreams. I believed it was within my grasp. But it didn't pan out the way I really wanted it to be. So I returned to the jazz bistros, distraught, questioning whether I had made the right decision at all of leaving my career as a systems programmer. But here's my silver lining. In the midst of all this, was a beautiful, nurturing soul who I felt was my quiet anchor. She's now my wife and mother of 2 children. She saw me dream, fall flat on my face, but she constantly dogged me and urged me to get up on my feet, now perhaps trying another track. This time, it was the foreign service. Now, there I was, madly in love, engaged, about to take what they had called the most difficult exams in the Philippines, the Foreign Service Officer exam, which in 1996, I passed. I then took my marriage vows, got a foreign assignment, raised a family, and now here I am, spinning my not-so-secret life anymore in front of 1,000 guests, waiting for that big quote that would inspire everybody at this moment. But I am not, cannot, and will not lay out to you what you can learn from my life. I will tell you what I learned, and by doing so, perhaps you can use them to live your life. Now, 24 years after my first foray into adulthood, I learned that everything happens for a reason. I used to wonder why my parents egged me to take on math and computer science as my major. Now I know that perhaps I wouldn't have been hired by Anderson Consulting if I wasn't into programming or systems analysis. Had I not been disillusioned by my track in the computer world, I would not have heard that voice that implored me to try singing in the performing arts. Without that, I would not have met my wife. Who could beat that? I would not have signed my recording contract only to be frustrated and dismayed. I would not have had the inkling to try foreign service. There would not have been Europe in my life. There would not have been Hawaii. I would not even be here today. Now, everything seems to just lead up to this perfect moment in my life that is today. This precise moment is the apex of my life, the sum of all that I have lived for. My life has been a ladder whose rungs just keep on appearing as I take the steps further up. Now, where this ladder leads to is a vision that I have of myself, a vision that no one else can dictate or paint for me. 24 years after I sat where you guys are sitting right now, I also learned that today's world places too much premium on competition. You have to be the best. You have to be the brightest. You have to be the youngest. You have to be the quickest to reach that ladder. You have to be the fastest to reach there. You have to be the superstar to make a difference. And everybody, sadly, is in that mode. But being the best person that we can be is certainly a noble deed, but to do so, I think, at the expense of others is definitely not the wisest act. In one's rush to get to the top, we push aside others, hurt them, cast out friendships, ruin lives, only to find out that through it all, what really is important is how best we manage our relationships with families, friends, acquaintances in the quest to reach our goals, whatever they may be. What ultimately matters is how much we become each other's teachers and students in everyone's life. The essence, I think, of our life is to be aware that each and every friend, supporter, adversary, each good time, each bad time, each elation, each heartache, each memory are all pedestals to reach our higher selves. Now, soon after this ceremony, many of you will enter the workforce and soon realize how others would unbelievably shove themselves into others' throats, convincing themselves of their power over them, treating folk as they were vassals or inferiors. Now, I had long figured out that these sides weren't worth my vexation or anxiety. How did I deal with them? Well, I stand my ground, aware of myself, not as superior, but as co-equal, assured that I am my unique self, a perfect product of my own circumstance. I learned it the hard way. While in Europe, there were not too many people who knew where the Philippines was or what the Filipinos represented. There I confronted prejudice of what brown-skinned folks like me are, being discriminated against, thought us thought of as second-class diplomats at that. And then again, without having been posted in Europe, I wouldn't be the stronger soul that I am now. All in all, I hold no grudges nor regrets over what had happened. I try to constantly remind myself as much as possible not to fill holes in my heart with hatred for unfortunate incidents in my life. Every moment is part of my learning process. Every person had a role to play in my growth as an individual. Now, how can I fault someone who has made me a stronger person? But this is my life. These are my lessons, and these are my experiences, which I know are steps towards my evolving soul. Now, is it my chance that Dr. Evans has seen me sing and speak several times in the past few years at several Filipino community events that he eventually asked me to address this graduating class at Argosy? Is it by design that you are part of this exercise at this moment? Or a twist of fate that I invited two young boys to listen to their father imparting them some lessons in a venue other than their bedrooms? No. Perhaps it's by fate or it's by design. And I am certain that this moment is a rung on your ladder of life, and certainly my pleasure to be part of it. Thank you, graduates. Congratulations to you. Remember that all of you, regardless of your background, your ethnicity, political leanings, language, height, weight, regardless of anything in the physical world that would define you, you deserve only the best. Go out, conquer yourselves. God bless you all, and aloha.